Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Madan Badki, delighted to be here along with my co-panelists for a fascinating conversation on 5G and what are the opportunities it can unlock for entrepreneurs. Delighted to have my co-panelists, Monica from Capgemini, Satkirti from Airtel, Rahul from T Connectivity, and Venki from Astrom. In the interest of time, we will jump in straight away. We got a very interesting perspective. We got a telco, a consulting firm, an infrastructure provider, and an entrepreneur who's leveraging all of this technology is coming together to bring better access into the hinterlands of India. This session, as we were discussing, will, in the next 23 minutes and 23 seconds, we will talk about three things. One, what is 5G going to assure that 4G hasn't been able to do? What are the opportunities? We'll talk about what are the use cases that are likely to hit the market first and what should entrepreneurs look out for? What's happening in 5G across the world that can be a precursor to what's happening in India? And finally, what are the entrepreneurial opportunities? And if we are all looking at leveraging this opportunity, what are the kind of markets we must go after, right? So let's jump in straight away. Maybe we start with you, Satkirti, on what is this 5G all about? I recently heard, Ambani ji saying more important than 5G is Mataji and Pitaji. But apart from Mataji and Pitaji, how is 5G more important than anything else that's happening around?
Thank you, Madan, and thank you, Tai, for having us over. I think 5G today is, everybody's, there's so much of hype around it, and there was such, and I think the hype around it is justified. Because what 5G does in terms of bringing on to the entire platform is all about three big things that it carries in terms of behaviors. It's about latency, very, very minimal latencies, concurrency, and the throughputs that we have. Having said that, does all this exist in 4G? Yes, it does, but we have a limitation in terms of the kind of throughputs that we have and the kind of speeds. So the minute you're into, average gaming or something like that, or immersive learning, this is becoming so much more important for you because it's extremely crucial for us to have like real-time data that has to flow through, which is largely our healthcare, which we're talking about. And so latency plays an extremely big role in this. But beyond these three major things that 5G brings in, I think what it comes in as to the industry of what it has is, we're largely talking about four big pillars of what 5G can rotate around. One is about connectivity, which is all about what the telco does. And second is about IoT, which is, today a big technology that can actually leverage on the connectivity and move forward. Three is your cloud, which is there and what can bring into the system. And four is your analytics. I think as an industry, if you look at all of us and being it for startups, this is what it's just going to turn around. So, how you can leverage these four platforms or pillars and then turn it around to make, new use cases and what it can bring for entrepreneurs. So,
wonderful. And from your perspective, how far away are we from a full-scale 5G
I think
rollout?
we're aggressively rolling out, and I must say we're already, it's out in the newspaper, 1 million users on Airtel already sitting on 5G. But going forward, I think by end of December, we should be at least about 20,000 plus sites across India. We've already launched about 12 odd towns. And we're aggressively thinking about by March 24, we should be 100% of India covered on 5G.
Wow.
So that's what we're looking at.
And I think I just became the 1 millionth first 5G user. One of the benefits of getting out of the panel was that I just figured out how to get 5G activated on my phone, which I just did now.
Yeah.
Right? Thanks to Monica and you here. Great. So, Monica, let's get to you and the conversation, right? Apart from the insane speeds that you just showed me, where do you think the early adopters will come from, and what are you seeing around the world? By the way, you can probably introduce very briefly about what you do at Capgemini as well, and then start off.
So I'm part of Capgemini's group 5G and Edge team. I have a global role, and I lead 5G for industries at Capgemini. I'm basically working mostly with the industries and helping them adopt 5G. And as Satkirti mentioned, in addition to the technical capabilities which have now come with 5G, one of the key performance indices of 5G was, or the design of 5G was for the industries. And if you just look back at when mobility, was kind of designed and developed, the previous generations of 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, all the adoption has been by the consumers. Not that it has been by intent or by design, it's just that it happened. And then when you have nearly a population of 6 billion people globally going after one technology and adopting it at the speed at which it happened, that market itself was an overwhelming market for all the connectivity providers to cater to. But then in parallel, for the Vision 2020, globally, 5G was designed with a focus on industries. So the biggest work which we are doing, as technologists, as professionals, is to help the industry adopt 5G. And which is different from any individual or a consumer adopting 5G, because in industry, and this refers to the 4 pillars which Satkriti mentioned, in the industry, you have sensors which are IoT. In the industry, you have risky and precision-based controls. In the industry, you have data security and data reliability requirements. In the industry, you have security requirements. In the industry, you also have scenarios, applications, which are also called as use cases, where one connectivity does not meet all requirements. So you have custom QoS requirements. And all of these are things which 5G is promising. You might have heard of private networks. You might have heard of network segmentation, network slicing. You might have heard of massive IoT. You might have heard of ultra-reliable, low-latency capability of 5G. These are all the capabilities which 5G is now trying to bring towards the industries. Still early days. Again, every technology and every, I would say, scientific process has its timing and its gestation period. So even the development of 5G is a process. we already have roadmaps for 5G going up to 2025 and beyond. But we already see globally adoption in Industry 4.0, mining, ports, transport hubs, manufacturing. We see adoption in healthcare and education. Healthcare specifically basis, what we all of us have experienced in the last 2 years. So there's basically, and of course, public safety. Public safety and smart cities and all, there is a big push towards the adoption of 5G. I would mention this globally, not yet to come in India, but in Europe and in US, you have the FirstNet and you have these emergency services, the 811s and the 911s. Erstwhile, they have all been using the previous technology called Tetra. Now, Tetra is moving to 4G, 5G. Railway communications are moving to 5G. So you actually have all industries moving to 5G, which is basically a big, big shift. And that automatically then opens up this whole world of opportunities we're talking about.
Fascinating. Thank you so much for, I think, talking about specifically some of the industry segments that we should look at. Let's get you into the conversation then, Rahul, from a T connectivity standpoint where you provide gear for various telcos globally. What do you see as an MNC provider? What do you see happening elsewhere in the world, and what could be a precursor? Can that be a precursor for India?
Thanks, Madan. So I think Monica nicely captured, a lot of things that's happening globally. So just a little bit about T connectivity, because T is a company that is used in multiple devices, but nobody knows about. So we are a global company doing antennas, connectivity, sensing, and power switching. We are in multiple markets such as automotive, aerospace and defense, industrial, rail, and so on, appliances. So being a global company, being in about 140 countries, we've had a ringside view, so to speak. We've been privileged to have a ringside view about seeing the evolution of use cases that have been coming. So South Korea was one of the first countries that rolled that out, and subsequent to that, there's about 84 countries that have actually rolled it out. I think the way we are seeing the market is in two parts. One is existing large companies that have been in the telecom space or in the cloud space, and a whole lot of smaller companies that have come out with use cases, predominantly startups, small, medium enterprises. And I think what we believe is that we're starting to see more of those companies fill that centerpiece between these two, as well as some of the larger companies moving into that space. So just looking at in terms of projects, we just yesterday I looked it up. We have about 1,600 use cases we're working on currently globally.
Wow. Okay.
And out of those, I think predominantly smart city seems to be the one that we have the maximum use cases coming out of the US and more from Europe as well. Then industrial is the next one, Industry 4.0. Connected cars is another area that is growing. So what we are seeing in that funnel is pretty much 1.5 to 2 times each year the funnel is expanding. And I think what we are also seeing is when 5G rolls out, we are seeing more of the adoption of certain use cases that have been enabled by 5G, where latency is a challenge. So critical requirements could be around telemedicine or and so on, right? So and also high bandwidth. So more companies looking at metaverse, AR, VR, gaming, those kind of areas. Yeah. So that's I'd just say, I mean, for entrepreneurs, really, I think 5G is a great enabler because that middle space is now open, and if we have good use cases and go-to-markets, predominantly around verticals of industries, but some are crossing industries, looking at that value chain, looking at where the flow of information can be valuable, right? And connecting those, I think there's a huge opportunity for entrepreneurs.
Terrific. Thank you. And with that, Venki, let's get you into the conversation of what you see as opportunities for all of us as entrepreneurs here, especially with the work that you're doing at Astrom. Maybe you can share a bit about that.
Yeah, sure. Wonderful. We from Astrom are actually disrupting the wireless backhaul space, primarily from increasing microwave capacity from Mbps to gigabit speeds. So we build gigabit radios, and we're the first company in the world to have actually built a point to multi-point radios in what we call E-band, which are 80 gigahertz bands. So the world up to today has only seen communication wireless in unidirectional, which is basically does point to point, right? So we all are aware of that. But I think what we have done is we have cracked a technology which is patented in the US as well as India, where we're able to kind of generate multiple links from one radio. So what does that mean to, let's say, the wireless ISPs or the telecom service providers is that they will be able to connect classical use case in India being BharatNet, which is connecting the gram panchayats to all the surrounding villages. So instead of having many radios connected on a point to point, you're able to connect from one gram panchayat. You can connect multiple villages in the 3 to 5 kilometer radius. So thereby the capex comes down drastically, and the OpEx also comes down by 30%. So that's the innovation. It's completely ground up, full stack hardware, full stack software, thermals, everything ground up, done out of Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. Right? So we are a VC-backed, revenue-generating deep tech startup, disrupting that space. We're kind of looking at two product markets that we're going after. We've cracked the rural broadband space, both in India. We're looking at the US at this time. I mean, very surprising for us is US also has the same problem that India has, which is rural US has very, very, very little bandwidth. So we spend like a couple of $1 billion for infrastructure in rural India. The US is kind of like 100x. So that's the magnitude. So we have a great space that we're going after, and we are kind of agnostic to whether whatever G comes in, whether it's 3G, 4G, 5G, 6G, we don't care because we just operate up to the layer 2. So whatever comes in goes out. So that way we are already 5G ready, right? So that's what we have done. And where we are today, we already rolled out our first generation of radios for rural India. We are doing it in Karnataka, in 2 villages. For the first time, you're seeing wireless fiber speeds at the backhaul. What fiber could give you at very expensive per kilometer kind of pricing, we're able to kind of drop down to like 1/10 the cost of fiber, but at the same capacity and speeds of fiber at the backhaul. So that's what we have done. The innovation is very, very disruptive. And for the first time, let me tell you that, the developed nations are looking at companies like us in India for transferring this particular technology to wireless equipment makers in the US, right? So the opportunities, I mean, for entrepreneurs out here are immense. The future of India is going to be in the villages. I mean, as Kanwal Reiki was mentioning to us last time, I mean, just about a week ago, we honored him as from TiE Bangalore. He was saying that, you know, no longer will entrepreneurs be in cities and grow their companies. They'll have to take their solutions to the villages, not just tier 2, tier 3 cities, but to the villages. And that's exactly what we are doing from an infrastructure standpoint, from a connectivity standpoint. We have seen that once you give, you know, connectivity at broadband speeds to the remotest corners of India, you will see economic activity growing by an order of magnitude. So, for example, what we have done, just to showcase that at the India Mobile Congress, we've kind of done the entire cradle to grave from the core to the access, where we're able to kind of, you know, stream education content to the remotest school, village school, where simple English and maths were being taught from the city. So entrepreneurs, the opportunity for entrepreneurs, especially in EdTech, immense with 5G. I mean, even today, it's immense. But with 5G coming in, you can kind of, the latency being so low, you can have like, you know, as it is, we saw like 20x the speed today, you know, with a hybrid kind of a network on 5G. But tomorrow, you will see kind of, you know, jitter-free, ultra-low latency kind of stuff. So what happens is that at a click of a button, you can kind of stream video. People kind of will have a fantastic user experience. So education, entrepreneurs in education, immense opportunity. Second opportunity for entrepreneurs is healthcare. Yeah. The primary healthcare sector in the villages needs all the applications that you do for, you know, whether it's electronic medical records or simple, you know, whatever diagnostics. We would require entrepreneurs to kind of use this kind of a broadband in our, you know, remotest part of India, take those solutions and kind of start to, you know, create economic activity in those areas. That's number 2. Third is, of course, fintech, right? Fintech, as all of you know, is kind of I think India is the leaders in fintech today. So that's another activity that will also grow by an order of magnitude, just to kind of name a couple of them, right? Yeah. So immense opportunities for entrepreneurs, especially when 5G comes in. It's only going to kind of, you know, quadruple.
Exactly. And just to add to that, thanks, Venki. Just to add to that, as an entrepreneur, I'm super excited. I run apart from being the president of TiE Bangalore, which is a voluntary honorary role, my day job is to run a rural enterprise called OneBridge. And we've recently experimented with actually bringing the world's first metaverse for rural consumers into the villages of Mandya. Wow. And from a village, which is a 10K village, we have built an EV showroom, an electric vehicle showroom in the metaverse. And we have consumers coming in through entrepreneurs who are having these Oculus Quest headsets. And these are, we envision that like how internet grew through internet cafes, metaverse will grow through metaverse portal operators. And these entrepreneurs are now letting in consumers to experience an EV in its full immersive environment. With a sales guy logging in from an avatar from the sales showroom in Bangalore and talking to a consumer in Mandya.
I'm very happy to hear this because I think you're leapfrogging application from the cities to the villages directly.
Exactly.
And then come back to the city and say, hey, look at metaverse happening here, right?
Exactly. So and I'm salivating at the prospect of running this on a 5G network, right? Because the immersive experience that we can provide consumers will be phenomenal, right? And our dream is that if we connect, 300,000, 400,000 villages with immersive experiences, then we can bring in education, healthcare, financial services, agri-tech, clean tech, all without having to spend expensive amounts of money building physical distribution networks, right? So I think especially as I'm taking away the use cases, as we start reimagining how consumers can be served better, right? And not just tinkering with old models, but really disrupting and building new ones, the sky's the limit, right? I know we're running out of time. We have the speakers lounge out there where all of us will be available. In the interest of time, I just want to call this to a close. But before that, Satkirti, we were talking about something interesting. By the way, if you see an Avinash Deepak in your schedule, scratch that. It is Satkirti who has joined us from Airtel. Apologies for that change. But you were talking about a very interesting program you run for startups at Airtel. Maybe we can just end with that.
We did something, thank you. We actually picked up about 40 odd startups that we ran a program for them, and it was a challenge that we had across fintech, adtech, and 5G. And we said, like, bring in whatever we have. We will give you the technology. We will partner you with the technology. We will even give you the cloud space that you want to come in. And what today is something called NEF, which is basically exposing our own APIs to anybody that you can use it and sort of develop and come back on the platforms, is something that we've done. So in that, we shortlisted about 6 of them, and now we are sort of collaborating with them, giving them the required input, support, technology, and sort of holding them with kid gloves, and we're there to support them through the development that's there. And we would run it again in a couple of months from now to just give them the environment, because even the use cases that we have done and we've showcased is all has been with, like for example, right now with IBM and Airtel is tied up with Maruti Suzuki for a entire digital transformation that we have. Though these are big companies, but the same thing applies to this. Our ambulance use case, which was on the healthcare on 5G, was with Cisco, us, Apollo, and Teslon, which was a startup again, which came in. So opportunities are huge, and we are here to collaborate and see what we can take it from here.
Thank you. With that, I think from all of us, TiE Bangalore, and glad to have 2 of our charter members here as well, and hopefully 2 more very soon. We are very excited. We have a very strong forum called the Matrix Forum that looks at deep tech, 5G, IoT, agri-tech, etc. And we will continue to do our work. I know we've barely scratched the surface here in the 25 minutes we had, but one commitment I'll need from each of you is to maybe even do a virtual webinar over the next few months where we can get to each one of you and unravel this 5G opportunities more so that we can go deeper onto that opportunities for our entrepreneurs. So we will schedule it from